नीतियों के अधीन यंत्र युक्त भाषा में संप्रेषण माध्यम अर्थात यांत्रिक संवाद वेबिनार में उपस्थित सभी अतिथियों का पूर्वा भट्ट का नमस्कार। Since we have Professor Ayman Yusuf, I would very briefly once again tell about Rashtriya Vigyan Parishad, which is a national scholarly association devoted to the cause of learning, revising, reconstructing the subjects of social sciences in consonance with Indian classical thought and philosophy. I would just request to mute your microphones, otherwise there'll be problem in delivering the speech. Thank you so much. To democratize the scholarly deliberations on indigenous thought, Rashtriya Samaj Vigyan Parishad introduced its Rajasthan chapter under the leadership of Dr. Sheila Rai ma'am, General Secretary, Rashtriya Vigyan Samaj Parishad, and also the former principal of St. Xavier's College, Jaipur, with the guidance of course, Professor P.V.K. Bhatt Sahab, who's the patron of RSVP and also the Chancellor of Central University of Odisha. Despite the pandemic, we've gathered here to become part of this very important scholarly discussion on revisiting India's international relations regarding Palestine and Israel, which is organized again by RSVP. उतार चढ़ाव और कई रहस्यों को जन्म देता रहा है भारत, इजराइल और पैलेस्टाइन के बीच का यह संबंध। भारत की वर्तमान विदेश नीति को स्वतंत्र विदेश नीति के रूप में देखा जा सकता है। भारत ने इजराइल का समर्थन कर खुले तौर पर यह संदेश देने की कोशिश की है कि वह अपनी परंपरागत विदेश नीति से अलग एक नए युग में प्रवेश कर रहा है। कई विशेषज्ञ मानते हैं कि भारत का रुख यथार्थवादी है। जैसे जैसे विश्व परिदृश्य में परिवर्तन आ रहा है, भारत अपनी नीतियों को और प्रगाढ़ बनाता चला जा रहा है, साथ ही अपने हितों के प्रति सक्रियता भी दिखाता जा रहा है। The cultural agreement between the nations state that both sides are convinced that this cooperation shall contribute to the development of relations and to the rising awareness, particularly among youth, history, culture in both the countries. And this will further strengthen mutual understanding, friendship between the countries. इसी विषय पर चर्चा करने के लिए मैं स्वागत करती हूँ हमारे मध्य उपस्थित अति विशिष्ट वक्ताओं का। It's a matter of great pride for Rashtriya Samaj Vigyan Parishad to have amongst us Professor Ayman T.R. Yusuf from Arab American University, Palestine, as an esteemed speaker. We welcome you, sir. We are also honored to have amongst us distinguished speaker and a great scholar, Dr. Anup Kumarji Gupta, who will present his views on Indian strategic thought towards Zionism and Israel. We welcome you, sir. I also welcome Professor Shashi Sahai ma'am as the esteemed chair for this session. Professor Sahai पूर्व में Department of Political Science, University of Rajasthan में हेड ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट का दायित्व निभा चुके हैं। अब पूर्व में यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ राजस्थान में टीन स्टूडेंट वेलफेयर का भी दायित्व निभा चुके हैं। Your expertise on international relation in form of scholarly research and publications has immensely contributed in the existing pool of knowledge. मैं आभार प्रकट करती हूँ मैम शशि सहाय का, जो आज का इस नेशनल वेबिनार की संभालेंगे। And now I would request Professor Sahai to kindly provide an outline for today's session in order to have a clearer agenda for the further deliberations and discussions. Please, ma'am.
Good afternoon, eminent scholars, teachers, and students who are participating in this webinar. I am extremely honored for giving me this opportunity to interact on this very, important subject, that is, India's emerging relations with Palestine and Israel. Let me at the very outset say that I'm not an expert on the subject. And so, we feel so honored today that we have someone from Palestine, from the Arab American University, Palestine, who would be one of the key speakers, and also Dr. A.K. Gupta, who is also an eminent scholar on IR And though being part of a government job, still has keen interest in academics, and we have heard him earlier too. So, in fact, we are really honored that both the speakers will give a very vivid, the whole the issues will be very well, both the relations between the two, Israel and Palestine, will be dealt with by them. Let me admit, as Purva just now mentioned, that India, the role of the emerging role which now India is having, is very different from the traditional role, in relation, especially in relation to its foreign policy with the countries of the world. So the question that comes to our mind is, what is India looking in the 21st century? And how India wants to project itself, you know, amongst the countries of the world. Uh, are we in the process of changing the mindset of major powers, important, the countries where traditionally we are having relations? Are we having a major shift in our foreign policy, or what are we exactly looking for? So let me say that uh, I think the speakers will agree with me that in last decade or so, we have realized that the traditional style of working with relations, in relation to the various countries, especially the Middle East, you know, cannot solve our purpose. Now we want to shift ourselves from not only as a balancing, that India as a balancing role. Uh, Earlier, what happened was that India was more or less having a defensive foreign policy. They were not very actively participating in international controversial issues also, and we were keeping a low profile. Now, how why we were keeping a low profile was with a certain background. And the background was that India followed a non-aligned policy. And when it got independent, we, under the Nehruvian policy, we adopted non-alignment, where we thought that we would not get trapped to the Cold War politics, to the superpower politics, and we will ourselves with developing countries will formulate certain policies and develop ourselves, as nations, in the very slow, meaningful way. But then, in 4 decades, we followed this policy, and then we realized that India is a big power. It has all the capacity to become a major power. It can compete with other superpowers too, and therefore, a need of change in the traditional outlook is necessary. We have to change our mindset, and therefore, especially after Modi came to power, we realized our Prime Minister clearly mentioned the time has come now to take a leadership role. The leadership role, not a balancing role. So that is the major difference which we find, that during the first tenure, Modi ji, clearly mentioned this, that now is the time has come that India has to make a formidable role. India has to take a lead role, and therefore we adopted a lot of we interacted with many countries of the world. Modi ji visited many countries. One-to-one relations with the countries were established, and in the Middle East, especially, it's the first time it has happened, in the entire history of India's relations with the Middle East or the other world or Israel, that uh, we have adopted a very open policy, where we are having very good relations with both Palestine also and with Israel also. So with this backdrop, a little backdrop, I would like now the two speakers, because we have to know why this change has come to place, and is this change necessary for India? Because India, if we look into the economy, we find that Middle East plays an important role. We have realized this, that if India wants to become, has to strengthen its economy, Middle East countries will have to have special relations with the Middle East countries, and that we cannot, traditionally we accepted uh, the stand for Palestinian two nation, that we accepted that Palestine has to have a separate, existence. It has to be a nation in itself, and we accepted the fact that two nations, two states can survive with each with, there should be no competition between them. They should exist with full, and all the countries of the world should recognize the fact that Palestine also uh, has a right. And then, especially with East Bank area, the two nation, the concept of two nation can be taken forward. So, with this approach, I think India is moving ahead, and today we have had an important accord, the Abraham Accord, and it seems, it as the newspapers and everything, what we have gathered through the media, it seems that India has played a very important role in this accord also, though all the initiation has been done by America too, but then we, at the backdrop, we have also played an important role in establishing cordial relations between, first time between UAE, Saudi Arabia, Israel, along with Palestine too. And this accord has very meaningful, has a it is very meaningful because first time the three religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, all would be together, to fight for economic development, progress of the Middle East region. So thank you so much for giving this, and I'm opening this opening remarks. I would like, to hear myself the expert comments, interpretations of both Professor Yusuf and Professor Gupta. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. You very clearly outlined the entire thing. And I think we're all set to start our today's session. And with that, I shall now request Dr. Radha Gadwalji, she's Assistant Professor, Political Science from Mata Sundari College, Delhi University, to kindly introduce our very first speaker, Professor Ayman Yusuf.
Okay. Thank you, Purva. I'm audible?
Yes, you are. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. The topic for today's webinar, as we all know, is India's foreign policy regarding revisiting Indian policy regarding Israel and Palestine. So we are fortunate enough to have two eminent speakers on the topic. Our first speaker for the day is Professor Ayman T.R. Yusuf, who can actually be called an authority on the subject, as while going through his CV, I could realize that his core area is Middle East. Whether his MA dissertation or his MPhil thesis, all are focused around Middle East and the Gulf area. Other than that, he has achieved many scholarships, among which Fulbright scholarship from USA is also included. He he has done his PhD from India only, from University of Baroda, Gujarat. He completed his MPhil from the same university. His teaching experience has been quite extensive. It is not confined till this area only. He has his teaching experience in other papers like comparative political systems in the world, international relations, and so on. He has authored many books on the subjects. He has also authored many research articles and also published them in national and international seminars. I think he is the best person. He could be the best resource person for us today. So, keeping the introduction very brief, I would like to invite Professor Yusuf, to present his words of wisdom. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to thank you very much. I don't know if you hear me well. Is my voice is okay? Huh?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I would like to thank you very much, Dr. Sheila, Dr. Radha, Dr. Burvam, Sheila, Shai Madam, and Dr. Anoop also, and all for my all Indian friends who are joining this webinar. I'm pleased and proud to be part of this discussion on the future of Indian foreign policy in the Middle East in general and in Palestine-Israel theater in more particular. If we take into consideration certain geostrategic and geo-economic factors, I think, I will start by saying that India foreign policy vis-a-vis Palestine, Israel is very much complicated, is very much complex. And I would like to use the term, it is balancing, it is not leading, it is not leading, it is balancing very much. And this is a smartness. I think this is part of Indian smartness, not to show that much, leading role, because the issue is very much, complex, very much complicated, and India is really balancing between its historical position on Palestine. India is ardent and a huge supporter for Palestinians, since 1947, the time of dividing Palestine into two states of, Israel and the Arab states. And throughout the Cold War, India maintained that, huge support politically, military, and most importantly, morally, the moral support. India is, a clear supporter for all national movements. And it was part of its foreign policy since the time of Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Indira Gandhi, and Rajiv Gandhi until the recent time. During the Cold War, India was the first non-Arab country to recognize the PLO, Palestine Liberation Organization, as the sole representative of the Palestinian people. In 1974, India was the first non-Arab country. India was the first non-Arab country to recognize the state of Palestine on paper in 1988 after Algeria declaration by Yasser Arafat. India was one of the countries that supported our application to non-member state observer status in the United Nations General Assembly in 2012, despite the change of position of Indian government, from Indian National Congress to the BJP government. But still, I have the feeling that there is a core intact and compact support for the Palestinians within Indian foreign policy, despite changing the colors and changing the attitudes of political parties in India. Why it is complex? Because India has to maintain a kind of balance, a kind of moral, ethical, and political support to the Palestinians at different international organizations and different international forums. And this is visible, this is very much clear in the last 50 or 60 years. And I think there is a the Palestinians, at this level. But at the same time, India is opening also huge partnership with Israel as emerging country in the Middle East. India needs technology. India needs, a new source for weapons. India needs partnership for security and intelligence. Israel is, a gate for India, to the US and Europe and other Western countries. So there are different geostrategic and geo-economic considerations that push India to move even from, we cannot say it is strategic relation between India and Israel. It is rather a partnership. I think both countries are already in partnership. And I think the geostrategic considerations are very important, very crucial, in this type of relations. When it comes to Palestine, we are still a nation under occupation. We are still part of, national movement, the global national movement. Palestine is still under the Israeli, occupation. Therefore, even from theoretical perspective, if we go to different international schools of thought and different international paradigms and approaches to international relations, I think India, Palestine, Israel is out of that scope because we are not a nation. We don't have that normal state-to-state relation with India. We are eager, to get more Indian support, and India is obliged ethically, morally, and to some extent, from pragmatic perspective, to support, the Palestinians. Therefore, when I read, some different theories and different approaches and the new approaches in IR, international relations, including realism, new realism, liberalism, new liberalism, I could not figure out, I could not situate, India, Palestine, Israel in that perspective, but rather I would put it in this, more moral, ethical, and legal perspectives. Even if from Palestinian perspective also, since we don't have that much, influence over what is happening in the Middle East and what is happening, at international level, I think one plus point in the hands of the Palestinians, including the Palestinian leadership, is to stress on this ethical aspect. We don't have oil, we don't have that huge market, we are a small nation, Israel is more influential, Israel is gaining support from the US, Israel is enrolling even with many Arab countries, including the latest move with United Arab Emirates, and there are some other Arab countries on the road, to normalize relations with Israel. Therefore, at this stage, even while we are in the stage of defining our relations with India, we need to put that in more macro strategic perspective, and we need to stress more and more on the legal, ethical, and moral, aspects of Palestine question, international law, right for self-determination, right, for peaceful, resolution of international conflicts, and all these principles, Panchayat, Panchashil, the 5 principles that define, Indian relations with China and with them, with NAM countries, with non-alignment movement in the 50s, and partially, I think, part of these principles are still valid for this, to understand, this stage. My another point, there is a shift, certainly there is a shift in Indian foreign policy when it comes to it is a pragmatic and realistic considerations, in the Middle East. Many Indian policymakers start believing that we can take that lead. We can maintain good relation with the Palestinians. We can support the Palestinians politically, economically, and morally. But at the same time, we can take care of our interests with Israel, especially if we know that Israel has also, very, very huge and progressive relations with China and with other countries. There is a kind, I think India, Israel is also working on this kind of competition. They are creating a kind of competition between India and China when it comes, to develop a kind of relationship with Israel, and they have many cards. They have many cards. They have many influential cards in their hands, including technology, including weapons, including agriculture technology, including some other smart and public diplomacy. They are much ahead, than the Palestinians, and then even many Arab countries, in this field. Historically, India supported Palestinians even in 1947, when the United Nations General Assembly, proposed the partition plan in 1947. In those days, there was United Nations Special Committee on Palestine consisting of 11 members. India was a member of that committee. India, along with Iran and former Yugoslavia, against the resolution of partition Palestine for the Jews and the Arabs. And in those days, India was under the influence of Mahatma Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru. They, Indians, believe that Palestine for the Palestinians, as Britain for the British, and France, for the French, and this is a famous statement, by Mahatma Gandhi. And the Arabs, the Arab Palestinians were in majority. Jews were very much in minority in those days in Palestine. And I think part of Indian position on those days in 1940. Identity of the country. India was more for a kind of secular solution in Palestine for all its inhabitants, irrespective of their ethnic, of their religious identity or their creed. Whatever, whoever is staying in the country, whether they are the Arab Palestinians, and as Palestinians are both Muslims and the Christians. And there was a minority, a Jewish minority, original Jewish minority in Palestine. So Palestine should be a kind of federal state for all Palestinians. And let us make the city of Jerusalem, since it is sacred and holy for all religions, an open global city in those days. And India, along with Iran and Yugoslavia, they put this position clearly for General Assembly of the United Nations. As India also suffered from partition, and both countries, India and Palestine, came under the British mandate. And it is visible that this divide and rule policy was very much a organic part of the of the British rule, whether in the Indian subcontinent or or in the Middle East. In 1955, during Bandung meeting that later on formed non-alignment movement, Palestine got huge support under the influence of Jamal Abdel Nasser. The founding members of NAM were India, along with Egypt, Indonesia, Ghana, and Yugoslavia, and all these five member countries were real supporters for the Palestinians under the influence of Jamal Abdel Nasser. India in those days, under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru, had not only political and economic relations with Egypt, Nasser of Egypt, but also even at ideological level. Both leaders defended a kind of national socialism that suit third world countries, that is different from the socialist, communist approach, as advocated by the Soviet Union. So when Egypt, was under the leadership of Jamal Abdel Nasser, and with its nationalistic, a huge Arab nationalistic approach, I think Egypt also played that role that really bridged the gaps with India and push India more to take positions, in the favor of the Palestinians. Of course, India established, its diplomatic relations with Israel in 1992, but that does not mean that India had not, a sort of another relations with Israel. I think, a kind of startup was in 1962 during, India-China war. In those days, Israel, opened a channel of communication backyard, under the ground channel of communication with India, and they offered, supplying India with weapons, since India, failed, to defeat China in that war. Israel is always, blackmailing, those positions. They are playing that part of, jumping monkeys between, these conflicting countries. Now they are playing this game between, Turkey and Greece, between, India and Pakistan. And I'm sure, the Israelis are also trying to open that channel even with the Pakistanis in order, to convince them that is the only through Israeli gaze. So this is a kind, of realistic games that the Israelis are doing in order, to push these countries to normalize with Israel. But also that at the same time, I would admit, there is a failure also on the part of the Palestinians, on the part of the Arabs, We are divided from inside. We are not united. We don't have that clear strategic approach, to resolve our conflict with Israel. Unfortunately, the Arab countries under the Arab Spring is totally scattered. Now the role of Egypt, Syria, and Iraq, these are the three major Arab national countries that really can do something, to the Palestinians. They are in bad shambles. They are in bad situation. Now the role, has been substituted by Saudi Arabia and some other Arab Gulf countries, which are not willing, even to fight with Israel. Syria, Egypt, and Iraq historically played that role, in the time of war and peace. They are capable of taking these decisive and important decisions for themselves and for the Palestinians. Now, under the shadow of the Arab Spring, and a kind of chaos created, internally, many of these countries are, divided from inside along, tribal, ethnic, and sectarian lines. So I think the withdrawal of these three major Arab countries gave more space to Saudi Arabia, to United Arab Emirates, who are not, strong, military or politically, to take the initiative. And what is the initiative at the end? To normalize with Israel. The latest, normalization agreement between the United Arab Emirates and Israel, Emirates leaders, they say we are trying to save Palestine question, because now Israel has annexation plan. So we agreed with them, with the Israelis, to stop, the annexation till we start a new round of negotiation. Imagine, the United Arab Emirates is negotiating on the behalf of the Palestinians, as if we don't have leadership, and as if we don't have, influential and, vibrant, nation of, 14 millions. So I think, and India is realizing that. I think India is watching the whole scenario. India is realizing that. Maybe before 50 years, in 1974, King Faisal of Saudi Arabia used, oil as a political weapon in 1973 war. But after that, they did not do it. I think India realized that, Arab countries who are supplying India with oil and with gas, and there is a huge partnership. By the way, the volume of trade between India and the Arab countries, I think, more than 50 billion. 50 billion of trade, mainly oil, oil is part of that. While the volume of trade between India and Israel is not more than 7 billion. But, this kind of interdependent relationship is very much part of intrinsic international relations. And I think India is also realizing that we don't have that, united Arab front and united Arab position in relations with Israel. Many of these countries, Egypt signed with Israel in 1978, Jordan signed with Israel in 1994, the PLO signed with Israel in 1993. And now the United Arab Emirates is opening a kind of channel of communication to normalize relations with Israel. So what is the point? So India is building on that argument. Historically, morally, yes, we support the Palestinians, but at the same time, the world is changing, foreign policy orientations are changing. So it is, our right, the Indian policymakers, to arrange and rearrange our strategic priorities in the Middle East in the way that suit India foreign policy, at this time. I would like to remind you with maybe with one or two things. In 2017, July 2017, Narendra Modi was the first Indian Prime Minister to visit Israel.
Yes.
In 2017, and during his visit, he signs, I think tens of MOUs with Israel in issues related to health, to education, empowering of women, irrigation, agriculture, and and other things. In economic relations, the volume of trade is clear, but we don't have clear data on military relations. We don't have that. I think it is also in billions. I think Israel today, 40% of Israeli weapons go to India. 40%. I think Israel is number 2 when it comes to arms supply to India. I think after the US and Russia. So the the partnership is building in very much solid very much solid background. Customary, any international leader who visit Israel supposed to go to Ramallah in West Bank to see Mahmoud Abbas of Palestine. Narendra Modi did not do it. And I think that was well calculated from a strategic perspective. But in February 2018, he came especially to meet Mahmoud Abbas.
Yes.
Because I think he got the messages maybe from Indian embassies in the Gulf and in the Arab countries that India should maintain that balance, at least at political and at diplomatic level. Visiting Ramallah and West Bank would go in favor of Indian foreign policy. And I think the Israelis are more wider than the Palestinians. They don't get short tempers easily. Generally, the Palestinians and the Arabs are more sensitive when it comes to issue even of personal relations. Mahmoud Abbas visited India more than 7 times since 2005. And in every time he used to get all kind of support from Indian policymakers and decision takers, including Mr. Narendra Modi. There are certain internal domestic factors in India that push towards this kind of a balancing role. Indira Gandhi during the Cold War, I think, used warm relations with Yasser Arafat and with supporting the Palestinians in order to contain the Pakistani propaganda in the Arab countries by using religious orientations. Indira Gandhi used to say to Yasser Arafat, look, we support you, as Palestinians, as Arabs, despite, the historical religious legacy of conflict, between India and Pakistan, which took a kind of, this religious flavor, at one stage. So even during the Cold War, especially during Indira Gandhi era, I think, Indian foreign policy was very much pragmatic, very much calculative, very much realistic when it comes to Palestine. Yes, they supported Palestinian question at different levels, but at the same time, I think, Palestinian question was, utilized, to serve Indian foreign policy, especially with its relations, with many Arab countries. I would like to end here. I don't know how many, I have. Just I want to remind you with certain facts about, economic support, to the Palestinians. Unfortunately, the volume of trade between India and Palestine is only 80 million. Half, 40 million, Indian export and 40 million, Palestinian, Palestinian import. India now is funding more than 10 projects in West Bank and Gaza, and this is important. India is building schools. India is building rehabilitation centers. I think they are funding one project at Birzeit University, IT Park. I think they are building certain, women's centers and Jawaharlal Nehru Library in Al-Azhar University in Gaza. So they are trying to diversify this kind of economic support and this kind of financial support to them, to the Palestinians, West Bank and Gaza. But India, does not give any direct financial support to the Palestinian budget. They put it into a kind of economic projects. India, I think, devote around 50 scholarships to the Palestinians who wants to go to India, especially for master and PhD in certain fields, mainly in management and IT. India is recognizing Palestinian passport And luckily, during my last visit to India, to Jaipur in February, I came by using Palestinian support, the Palestinian passport, and with e-visa even, and this is also good. This is a kind, to encourage a kind of, public diplomacy between, the Palestinians and the Indians. Palestinians have very good image about India when it comes, to its, historical foreign policy support, relations between Yasser Arafat and Indira Gandhi, and they have very good image about Indian movies, and this is kind of public, diplomacy. Indians and Palestinians are warm, are close even at cultural level. So I would like, to end here, and I wish, I hope, we can get maybe some questions and some comments from our respected. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much, Professor Yusuf. It's such a pleasure always to listen to you, and thank you for providing such intricate details. And again,